This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
After Party live on a Travel Tuesday. I'm Little again. Hi, in the corner over here. Hope everybody's having a great day. And I am going to get demonetized for sure today. And that's okay, because I have something to show you that I think you'll really like. I got a couple of emails from Kathy O, who submitted some great stories today for the After Party Live. And I found one of them so interesting that I was talking to my husband about it at the kitchen table, and he said, wait, before you go any further, have you seen the scene from the West Wing about this very thing? And I said, no. And so we watched it, and now I have to show it to you. But I'll tell you about this story from Kathy. And she sends it to me about the maps. It's about the maps and how we have these maps that are antiquated and that don't really tell the true story when it comes to the sizes of continents and countries. The African Union is now backing a campaign to end the use by governments and international organizations of something called the Mercator map. It's the 16th century map that we're all familiar with. It's the one everyone uses, but it doesn't accurately display the size of Africa or South America or anything else. The scene from the West Wing really explains it all much better than I ever could. So, in the spirit of the conversation that was had, take a look at this. It's a little long, but by the end of it, you really learn a lot. I had no idea.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry to be late.
not a problem.
I'm CJ Craig.
Of course you are. I'm Dr. John Fallow. This is Dr. Cynthia Sales and Professor Donald Huke. Huke.
Okay, and you are the Organization of Cartographers for Social Equality.
Well, we're from the OCSE. We have many members.
How many?
4,300 dues-paying members.
What are the dues?
$20 a year for the newsletter.
Let's start.
Wait, I want to see this.
This is Josh Lyman.
Indeed you are.
Josh, this is Dr. Fallow, and
Hi.
who's Merry Men.
Yes.
Should we begin?
Yes. Plain and simple, we'd like President Bartlett to aggressively support legislation that would make it mandatory for every public school in America to teach geography using the Peters projection map instead of the traditional Mercator.
Give me $200 and it's done.
Really?
No. Why are we changing maps?
Because, CJ, the Mercator projection has fostered European imperialist attitudes for centuries and created an ethnic bias against the Third World.
Really?
The German cartographer, Mercator, originally designed this map in 1569 as a navigational tool for European sailors.
The map enlarges areas at the poles to create straight lines of constant bearing or geographic direction.
So it makes it easier to cross an ocean.
But
Yes.
it distorts the relative size of nations and continents.
Are you saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes. Look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The two land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Yes.
Here we have Europe drawn considerably larger than South America. When it's 6.9 million square miles, South America is almost double the size of Europe's 3.8 million.
Alaska appears 3 times as large as Mexico, when Mexico is larger by 0.1 million square miles.
Germany appears in the middle of the map when it's in the northernmost quarter of the Earth.
Wait. Relative size is one thing, but you're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
Where is it?
I'm glad you asked. The Peters projection.
It has fidelity of axis.
Fidelity of position.
East-west lines are parallel and intersect north-south axes at right angles.
What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time. Should we continue?
Uh-huh.
So, you're probably wondering what all of this has to do with social equality.
No, I'm wondering where France really is.
Guys, we want to thank you very much for coming in.
Hang on. We're going to finish this.
Okay.
What do maps have to do with social equality, you ask?
She asked.
Salvatore Natoli of the National Council for Social Studies argues, in our society, we unconsciously equate size with importance and even power.
I'm going to check in on Toby.
Go.
These guys find Brigadoon on that map. You'll call me, right?
Probably not.
When third world countries are misrepresented, they're likely to be valued less. When Mercator maps exaggerate the importance of Western civilization, when the top of the map is given to the Northern Hemisphere and the bottom is given to the Southern, then people will tend to adopt top and bottom attitudes.
But wait, where else could you put the Northern Hemisphere but on the top?
On the bottom.
How?
Like this.
Yeah, but you can't do that
Why not?
because it's freaking me out.
Okay, so better than I could have possibly explained it, but everything in that was true, it turns out. How crazy is that? I mean, I had no idea that our maps were so wrong. So the question I have for you is this. Are you freaked out? Like, I forget the name of the character. Are you freaked out like she was? Do you want to just keep the same maps that we've always been using because we're all comfortable with the way that looks and the way that feels? Or do you want accurate maps? And then they go and flip the map upside down so that the countries on the top of the world are really on the bottom, and it doesn't matter because we're a big ball floating in space. Anyway, I thought it was so interesting that I had never even considered whether our maps were accurate before. Thanks to Kathy O for sending the story in. And again, I'll say there's a push now, this campaign to end the use of the Mercator map. It was created by Gerardus Mercator for navigation many moons ago in the 16th century. And the commission deputy chairperson for the AU says it might seem to be just a map, but in reality, it's actually not. That this map is still facilitating this idea, the false impression that Africa is marginal, despite the fact that it's the world's second largest continent by area with more than 1 billion people. The AU right now has 55 member states, the African Union. And the thinking is that this type of stereotype influences media, influences education, and it influences policy as well. And is that fair? So there's this Correct the Map campaign led by a bunch of different advocacy groups to fix it so that it reflects the reality rather than the falsehood that we've been living under for so long. Okay, I'm going to the chat, see what you guys have to say. Teacher Lori has known about this forever. She's got it. She's known about this for at least 15 years. When she first found out, she said, I was kind of shocked, but not that surprised, given who made the maps, originally white colonizers. Yeah, I mean, come on. The victors write history. Maud says, what's scary, the Pacific Ocean? Don't ask, don't tell. Cameo says it's an illusion. CBD, Google Maps uses the Mercator projection, but it has transitioned to a spherical 3D globe view when zoomed out to provide a more accurate representation of the Earth's size. That's cool. Mama says, not freaked out exactly, but I wish I had this when I was in school. I don't know why it took me, why I'm 15 years behind Teacher Lori in learning this. It's one of those things where even if you're going to use the wrong map, at least tell us at some point that it's wrong. Why is that not commonly taught in school? If you were in Teacher Lori's class, you would have already known, for sure. Mr. Jim says, China owns much of the African cities and Mandarin is soon the top continent's language. I did not know that either. They do not care what America thinks. So maybe they don't care what the map looks like. They'll just use the one they want to use. I don't know. Phineas says, I think we're more elliptical rather than a spherical shaped planet. All right. Well, you know what? Let's find out. Let's teach all the truth then, I think. All right, let's move to a different story. And thank you to Kathy O for that one and to Kathy O for the next one as well. It's about giant bats, carnivorous bats. It turns out maybe they're not so scary after all, these big meat-eating bats. They have a bit of a cuddly side. They hug, they play, they share food, and actually, it's kind of sweet. Scientists observed this family of 4 spectral bats in their roost in a tree in Costa Rica and got a really good look at their social behavior. These are bats that eat rodents and birds and other bats, even. And even though they're kind of thought to be scary, it looks like they have a more, I don't know, cuddly, sweet side. Researchers observed this family of spectral bats repeatedly wrapping their wings around each other, cuddling, and sharing food. They've published a new paper in the journal PLOS ONE. They have a 3-foot wingspan, but they're kind of hard to study because you don't see them very often. And that means scientists still have a lot of unanswered questions about the lifestyles of the spectral bat. But they did get a close-up look at this family in this tree that you see here. They installed, the researchers, a motion-sensitive infrared camera inside the hollow trunk of a manilcara tree in Guanacaste province, Costa Rica. It's where they had previously seen this family of 4 spectral bats roosting. And they suspected that this was a family made up of an adult male, an adult female, and offspring born in different years. Eventually, the camera starts recording when it detects motion over the course of a 60-day period, over 3 months. So they have 60 days worth of footage over 3 months. The scientists get about 500 to 1-minute clips that they can use to analyze. 73 of them showed these social encounters or other really interesting behavior from these bats. They were grooming each other. They slept with their snouts touching, and they were bundled together in a tight cuddle ball. The bats seemed to be hugging for several seconds after one returned to the roost. These interactions were accompanied by low-intensity vocalizations. The researchers say these are big apex predators and they can bite through bones, but at the same time, they're also really gentle. The researchers are hoping that their work will help people understand these bats as complex, intelligent animals rather than just seeing them as these scary, untouchable creatures. And they don't know, though, exactly why these bats engage in these social behaviors. Maybe it's parenting style. These bats are often monogamous. Both parents help raise their young. And the hugging seems to be their way of keeping their family bonds strong. They also showed in the footage that the bats were sharing food with one another. In 12 of the 1-minute long clips, an adult bat returns to the roost with a carcass between its teeth, and it gave its catch often to the younger bat. They think maybe it helps the bats transition from their mother's milk to solid food. The male bat was also, though, observed bringing the female dead birds and mice to eat while she was nursing the young pup. No aggression, no conflict over the shared meals. The bats seemed to intuitively understand which food was meant for them and which was meant for the other members of the family. Only one time was there some type of tug-of-war scenario over food. They also were caught on camera, these bats goofing around, playing with each other, chasing cockroaches inside the tree trunk. They said this was really unexpected. The bats were also seen leaving the roost together, likely in search of prey, and that was unexpected as well because usually they think these bats hunt alone, not together. So they admit the sample size is low, small, but they say the findings are still important because we know so little about the spectral bats that every new observation of their behavior becomes then valuable. So, another reason it's important to know is because the researchers say, if we know a certain species behaves in this way and then suddenly their behavior changes, then we know something's wrong. So that's also important. But yeah, these big meat-eating, bone-crunching bats display this sweet behavior with hugging and sleeping snout to snout, things that you might not have known. Let's talk about this blue lobster. This is a bright blue lobster. Sometimes they look kind of partially blue. This one, boy, it's super blue. Not hard to spot that this one's a little bit different. It's a very rare blue lobster. 1 in 2 million genetic mutation is what they say. It's now at Northeastern University's Marine Science Center, and it has a name now, Neptune, the blue lobster. Neptune, they say, is super special. The odds of catching a lobster with Neptune's hue, 1 in 200 million. Neptune is a 7-year-old American lobster, weighs about 2 pounds. Neptune was caught in July when a fisherman caught him in Salem, Massachusetts. And the fisherman then called a local marine biology teacher who connected him with the folks at the Marine Science Center nearby. They said, the people at the Marine Science Center, that this took their breath away to see this bright blue lobster. One of the program coordinators there at the outreach program at the Marine Science Center said, I've seen a few lobsters that have a little blue on them, but I've never seen one that's this electric blue like this. There were apparently some high school students attending an ocean science academy when this lobster was delivered. They're the ones that voted on the name Neptune after the Roman god of the sea. American lobsters are usually greenish brown, so they can camouflage themselves in the waters that have a lot of rocks so they can blend in. These lobsters have several layers of pigment called astaxanthin. Sorry, I said it wrong. Let me get it right. Astaxanthin. Astaxanthin, that's what it's called. Now I have to put it up on the banner so you can see. You can say it and you can go, what is she thinking? How can she not say this word? Okay, I'm going to put it up for you on the bottom of the screen. Here it is. Astaxanthin, right? That's how you'd say that? All right. Well, it's a pigment. It shows up as layers of red, yellow, and blue. And when all of those layers are stacked up, it gives lobsters kind of this patchwork of orange, red, blue, pink, purple, and brown. But in Neptune's case, the other color pigments were either not expressed or overexpressed, resulting in blue. Blue is 1 in 2 million, red is 1 in 10 million, split colored 1 in 50 million, albino 1 in 100 million, and cotton candy color 1 in 100 million lobsters. So the blue is really rare in nature because a true blue color pigment doesn't exist anywhere in the world. That's according to biologists at the University of Adelaide in Australia. They say organisms that appear to be blue have to absorb very small amounts of energy while reflecting high energy blue light at the same time. It's a complicated process, so organisms that perform costly genetic tricks to appear blue can actually have their growth impeded, especially plants. So some plants do it because they want to attract pollinators like bees. Neptune, though, he's an interesting case. He's probably not going to be found at any Red Lobster anytime soon. But they say if he were to be cooked, he would turn the typical boiled red color. But he's not going to your dinner plate. He's going to live at the Rocky Aquaria Touch Pool at the Marine Center. He'll be in there with some sculpin fish, some spider crabs, and a few green sea urchins just hanging out. And they say Neptune is doing a great job adjusting thus far. He has a little hut they built him so he can hide away if he wants to do that. And they're limiting the time that visitors are allowed to spend with him because they know he's going to be popular. He needs a break. They say lobsters are very solitary usually, so it's important that he has a space to retreat to. And I will say this, these American lobsters live a really long time. They can live more than 100 years. So he could be at the Marine Center for a super long time. He's only 7. So he has a long way to go. That's the story of Neptune and his astaxanthin. I don't know if I said it right. Teacher Laura will correct me, right? Go into the chat. See what you think. Oh, everyone. Yeah. Astaxanthin? Astaxanthin? Okay. Cotton candy lobsters. I wonder if they taste like cotton candy. Nullifidium would pronounce it astaxanthin. Astaxanthin. That's a tongue twister. Wow. No, astaxanthin. Astaxanthin? Astaxanthin? It doesn't look like that to me. I'll take your word for it. I love that we all have an opinion. That's great. Free Neptune. Put him back in the sea. Mama says, I'm a lobster. I need my space too. I hear you, Mama. Yep, I get it. We all need a little moment. Maybe what you need, Mama, is some Lego jewelry. I know. It's not very cute, but can you see yourself playing with it, while you're waiting for something, or you're sitting in a PTA meeting, or you're in the car waiting for a kid to come back out of karate, or whatever it is, kind of popping them back and forth. That's the whole point of these. This Lego jewelry is made to be played with. I mean, it's not the fanciest looking jewelry. It's no Taylor Swift old mine engagement ring, but the plastic Lego bricks replace the gemstones in these customizable rings made by Berlin jewelry brand studio GoGo. So you can change the design as you see fit with whatever Legos you have handy. The rings were made from recycled silver. It's just a simple band and a plate that replicates the shape and size of a Lego tile so that you can pop whatever Legos you want onto this ring. The rings can be worn unadorned, or they can be stacked with your choice of Lego bricks for whatever you're wearing or whatever your taste is, whatever. The earliest pieces, they say, were centered around classic 2x2 square tiles. But since then, they've done a little expansion to incorporate other shapes, like rectangular shapes and circular shapes of Legos. So you could do whatever you want to do. I don't know if I want a Lego ring this tall. I'll show you another picture. I mean, you could really, you really get into it. I guess it's kind of a conversation piece, but it's just not very pretty. You think, when I think of wearing jewelry, I think it should be special. There's a stack of Legos on your hand. Let me just, wield my plastic ring all over the place. I mean, I could see the allure of wanting something to play with, on your hand, almost like a fidget spinner, something to mess with. I don't know. No, thank you. The designer says, my pieces are made to evolve with you, to be played with, customized, maybe even passed down. Take my plastic ring and pass it to my grandchildren. The designer says, at the heart of my jewelry is the belief that the meaning, memory, and creativity belong in the things we wear every day. Got the idea to make this Lego compatible jewelry during a school project on modular ring design. The designer says, at the time, I put it aside thinking the concept wasn't particularly original, as I had seen several ideas out there like that. But years later, I came back to it and something shifted. I'd always seen its potential. Back then, I was focused on creating something entirely new. Over time, I realized originality isn't about being first, but about adding your own voice. So that's what they do. They make each ring by hand in the Berlin workshop using files, calipers, and clamps, and other tools to get the right size and surface texture. And then the rings they demand a high level of precision. Deviate even a tenth of a millimeter, and your Legos will not fit. They want to expand their collection to include Lego compatible bracelets and necklaces as well. I don't know. What are you going to wear it? Who wants a Lego ring? Anybody? Go into the chat. Are you interested? 2 rings connect. That's love. There you go. Pieces could easily get lost and harm babies and pets crawling around. Well, you've got to be careful. And I don't think Legos really come loose. They're very tight unless you're messing with them. So I don't know. I I hold my keys out when I'm walking in my car and I'm not near a group of people, or at least someone I can look like I'm walking with. Yeah, well, that's the way to be safe, right? Looks like corners would catch on things. Those rings are perfect for NDs on the spectrum or for distraction and to help reduce and stimming. True. Like I said, like a fidget spinner kind of thing, if you needed something to play with and mess with. And again, I can see the draw for that reason alone, even though it's not pretty. And if you made them into gemstone Lego pieces that could be moved around, maybe it would be fancier, but when you pop one off and it goes flying across the room, you're gonna lose a lot more money, right? Mama says my kids would love this, but I just know they'd end up on the floor for me to step on. Unless maybe it was your ring and your kids just love playing with your ring on your finger. I used to wear a necklace when my babies were little, breastfeeding age, and they would always love to play with my necklace and look at it. So, I mean, there is that, we like to play with mom's jewelry kind of thing, maybe. I don't know. Teacher Lori says someone monetized their kids' makerspace project. My kids already made Lego jewelry in makerspace years ago. Yeah, not the most inventive idea. Interesting, though. All right, we'll move on to cell phones. I thought this was kind of an interesting story. The city in Japan is deciding now whether or not they want to limit smartphone use in their city to 2 hours a day. So if you lived in this city called Toyoaki in the Aichi Prefecture, Toyoaki, you would possibly soon only be able to use your cell phone 2 hours a day. The residents would be limited to 2 hours of time on their smartphones, tablets, or computers outside of work and school obligations. So for your personal pleasure, you would only be able to use it 2 hours a day. If it's for work or school, a little bit more. The non-binding ordinance, though, it would urge elementary school age children to cut off screen time at 9 p.m. with a 10 p.m. suggestion for middle school and older children. They say the ordinance would not impose monetary or criminal penalties for violations. And they say it's really would be more of just a guide, limiting daily smartphone use at 2 hours. A guide, they said, aimed at promoting measures to prevent residents of this city from suffering the adverse effects on their bodies and daily lives from excessive smartphone use. There was a study that was published in March by Japan's Children and Families Agency. They found that young people in that country spend an average of 5 hours on their phones, tablets, and computers every day during the week. And if you're spending that 5 hours a day on your cell phone, what are you not doing? Are you not exercising? Are you not creating art? Are you not thinking independently? Are you not reading a real book? Are you not gardening and beautifying your home or your community, helping others, volunteering? All the things that go into making a community work. It's nanny government, definitely, telling me what I can do with my cell phone or what you would like me to do with my cell phone. A 2-hour limit, huh? I don't know. Nelophidian says, if I could only use my cell phone for a couple of hours a day, I'd get some reading done. Yeah. Uh, butter socks. Okay, well, that's nice. Mama says if they offered some kind of incentive, that guide might actually work. Exactly. No, the Mark Thompson show for them. Yeah, that's a 2-hour show. That would suck your 2-hour time limit up. It'd be done. That's it. I don't know. Um, yeah, I read on my phone as well as physical books. I do too. By the way, and I do have a story about reading, which I'll go to next, but I did want to tell you that I read this book. I'll get this picture off. I read this book for my recent book club, and I really, really like it and recommend it. It's by Jodi Picoult, and the book is called Small Great Things. It's not your light summer read. It's about racism and how things are different for different people. Even if you work hard and you play by all the rules, things that happen. I think if you're a person of color, you know all this already. It's not going to surprise you. But if you are not a person of color, if you are a white person, it might teach you things, even if you thought you knew what racism looked like, it might teach you something. So anyway, it's good. It's called Small Great Things, which is based off of a name by a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speech, and it's by Jodi Picoult, Picoult. So that was a good read. I like that one. Speaking of reading, yeah, we're not reading as much anymore. No, we're not. Yeah. Reading for pleasure has declined by a deeply concerning 40% over the last 2 decades. Between 2003 and 23, the proportion of Americans who read for fun on any given day has been steadily falling. That's kind of a bummer, huh? This new paper was published in the journal iScience. They say reading reached its peak in about 2004 when about 28% of people, Americans, reported reading for pleasure. By 2023, the number had dropped to 16%. That's a decline of about 40%. But reading for fun has been dropping since the 1940s. What? Right around the time that TV came out? Well, I don't know. The results, they say, done by the Center for the Arts in Medicine at the University of Florida. The results are troubling because reading has always been one of the more accessible ways to support well-being. The research is clear. They say reading is a vital health-enhancing behavior for every group within society, which benefits across the life course. The scientists that did this work studied responses from about 236,000 Americans, big sample size. They used a broad definition of reading for personal interest that included books, magazines, newspapers, audiobooks, even e-readers. In addition to the overall decline, the researchers also found disparities between different groups. So they said Black Americans were less likely to read for fun than white Americans. Men were less likely to read than women. Older people, those with higher education levels, and those with higher income levels were also more likely to read for pleasure. The study says potentially the people that could benefit the most from reading for pleasure for their health are benefiting the least. One of the good things that popped out in this study is that time spent reading to children remained pretty constant in this time frame between 2003 and 23. But just 2% of Americans reported reading with children on any given day, even though more than 20% of survey participants had a child under 9. They said they would like to see, the researchers, more adults reading with children. That has been linked to preparation for reading, preparation for early education, and reading attainment later on. If you were read to as a child, you're more likely to enjoy reading as an adult. Boy, my kids are going to be great readers then. I used to read 4 or 5 books every night, but I don't necessarily read with them anymore. Jacob and I read books aloud to each other now, like chapter books, but it's not the same as settling down into bed and, reading little stories. One of the things they do say is that there's a correlation between the time spent on digital media and reductions in reading time. It does seem more logical that the ways in which digital media compete for our time would be a factor in declines in reading. But that's really only part of the story. Economic security, transportation barriers may play a role. They say also we have shorter attention spans now. In 2004, attention spans while looking at screens averaged about 2.5 minutes. By 2016, the number had fallen to 47 seconds. Like, show me something quick, right? I mean, yeah, right. Show me something fast. Don't talk to me for something about for 5 minutes about something, because I'll lose my attention and I'll move on. It's a problem with this show because I stick with a topic and a subject and really dig into it. So it's not a quick, let's gloss over it and move on kind of thing. There also might be literacy issues in other parts of the country. So when you say reading for pleasure, the one of the folks associated with rural and small libraries said you make the assumption that reading is pleasurable, but if someone struggles with the act of reading and interpreting words, that's not leisure. It feels like work. So again, just recapping it, between 2003 and 23, the proportion of Americans who read for pleasure on any given day dropped by about 3% each year. That's a decline of about 40% over 2 decades. That's a bummer. Not as many readers around, huh? Speaking of jewelry, now here's some jewelry. There's no Lego looking thing there. That's an amethyst, and it's really old. 600-year-old amethyst jewel found in a Polish castle moat. It was just sitting there at the bottom of the moat. They say it reveals secrets of medieval nobility. Look how pretty that ring is. I mean, it's broken, but you can see what it was, right? Archaeologists in Poland uncovered a unique, elegantly crafted jewel from the moat of the medieval castle Kolno. It was once on the border of two duchies. It's a ducal border. It's a silver setting adorned with an amethyst and finished in fire gilding. Likely belonged to a knight or a noble, might have been used as a decorative accessory or a brooch at some point as well. They said this makes it especially unique in a medieval settlement context. This item was likely originally part of a brooch, or less likely, a coronet or a crown. The jewel dated to be more than 600 years old. It was found in the moat sediment between the timber bridge posts at the castle's northern approach. They were doing some excavation work on Castle Kolno in 2010. And since then, the excavation team has recovered military gear from the 14th and 15th centuries, equestrian items, and ceramics, but this jewel really stands out. Usually, things like this are found in a tomb or kind of a hoard, like a stash of jewelry or coins. But this appearance, they say, in a mundane travel-related setting is a little rare. This castle, Kolno, was originally built in the early 13th century by Duke Boleslaw III of Brzeg. Later, it housed wealthy knights before being destroyed in 1443 during a civil conflict. They used spectroscopy to confirm that this stone is indeed an amethyst, and they used X-ray fluorescence to reveal the metal was fire-gilded silver with mercury, which, although poisonous, was common in the medieval techniques for giving a golden shine to silver. They say that the amethysts like this were symbolic. They were readily available, beautiful, and because of that, they were popular during the Middle Ages. There's a paper that was published in Antiquity that describes how amethysts were believed to have supernatural powers as well. The medieval folklore claimed the amethyst guarded against intoxication and venom. They symbolized faith, modesty, and martyrdom. And because of that, the symbolism of jewelry played a significant role in medieval society. The true owner of this piece is still a mystery, though. but the archaeologists think it was probably an aristocrat, and they say probably a medieval noble. So, pretty cool. Imagine pulling that from the sediment of a moat. What a great find. I have this story about this thing. If you have leftovers, you don't have to do with your leftovers. That's okay. You just ask Kitchen Cosmo. Kitchen Cosmo will tell you it's a playful, intentional AI appliance that generates recipes for you based on what kind of leftovers you have laying around. It was made by students at MIT. They've developed this retro futuristic kitchen robot that uses AI to check your ingredients that you have available and then make suggestions on what to cook based on your mood, your skill level, and the time you have available. It's called Kitchen Cosmo, and it's a functioning prototype at this point. Big bright red body, looks like an old school appliance. It's got these buttons and switches and sliders so you can say, how much time you have, what kind of food you prefer. The Kitchen Cosmo allows the home cook to set their dietary preference and mood, as well as the desired cooking time, difficulty level, and number of proportions and meal type. And then it uses a webcam, you can see on the top there, housed in an adjustable anthropomorphic head to capture the available ingredients, which the internal AI identifies and then turns into a recipe that ticks all the boxes you checked. And then a thermal printer spits out the final instructions burned onto an unfurling paper receipt that can be torn off and stored in a clear tube at the bottom of the appliance. The entire process screen-free, designed by MIT students Jacob Payne and Aya Mahmood to be tactile and as analog as possible. And they say as AI becomes more present in daily life, most interfaces lean toward efficiency and invisibility, touchscreen apps, or voice assistants. Pardon me, I had to cough. But the Cosmo, but they wanted to challenge that default and ask what kind of interaction would this look like? What would you like in your kitchen? They didn't want to make it seamless, but they did want to make it playful and intentional. So they designed this device that would sit on the countertop and operate through dials and switches, and then collaborate with the AI instead of hiding it. Would you use this? They 3D printed their prototype, finished it with red paint and aluminum accents, trying to make it look like the late 60s Honeywell kitchen computer, which didn't really do well at bringing computers into households. But they said the Honeywell spat out pre-programmed recipes, but Kitchen Cosmo creates a more creative, reciprocal relationship with the technology by letting you steer the final outcome based on what buttons on the back of this machine that you have pushed. The most novel of these is the dial that allows home cooks to switch between 6 different moods based on whether they're feeling nostalgic, experimental, or scavenging the fridge for leftovers. They say the actions make the exchange with AI feel more personal and collaborative rather than being purely transactional. The moment of interaction helps reshape how people engage with smart technology in the kitchen. Are you using that in your kitchen? Man, good ideas for leftovers. Doug says mine would print out the numbers to local carryouts. Way to go, MIT, says CBD. How long until it prepares and cleans up after, says Inlays. Interesting commercial I've been seeing for Google AI, says Teacher Lori. Guy uses Pixel AI to find his girlfriend's concealer and a mess of items on the counter in her bathroom. Great use. Going to try a similar with the iPhone. So interesting. Mama says that's the kind of AI I can get behind. The less food waste, the better. That's true. Well, it's a prototype right now, CBD. We don't know how much it's going to cost in the end. or whether there will be a market for it. But it's an interesting development by the folks at MIT. Kitchen Cosmo. Let me look at, I don't think they've showed, nope, they don't have a price. Right now they're trying to figure out how to integrate it into physical products, so they don't know yet. Good question, though. All right, are you ready for it? We can't leave without the little Travel Tuesday. There it is. Time to go. We are going this time to the Whitsunday Islands. Here's what they look like. Look at that beautiful blue water. That's so pretty. The Whitsunday Islands off the coast of Australia. It's something that often ends up on to-do lists. And one of the best things to do at the Whitsunday Islands is said to be a reef scenic flight. It's a 1 hour long scenic flight. You can experience the famed heart reef. There's a heart-shaped reef, and I have to show it to you. You can take a flight over the heart-shaped reef. Here's what it looks like. Uh-oh, pushing the wrong buttons. And this is, I mean, I would say it would be a once-in-a-lifetime thing to see. Look at this. That's the heart-shaped reef. So if I can, how beautiful is that? Imagine flying over that. You got your plane, fly Australia, flying over the heart-shaped reef. It's the Whitsunday Island Heart Reef Scenic Flight. Gets 5 stars, and it's listed as the best thing to do on Whitsunday Island. So, so beautiful. There are 74 islands on Whitsunday Island, Australia, between Queensland and the Great Barrier Reef. It's a top vacation spot for a lot of people. People come from around the world. And it's great for sailing and snorkeling and diving and swimming on isolated beaches and secret harbors. There are remote islands in the Whitsunday Islands. Beautiful beaches, this heart-shaped coral reef you're looking at here, upscale private clubs, nature hikes, just about every water activity you can think of. So that's number 1, is taking an aerial tour of the heart-shaped reef. Number 2 is taking a beach tour. This time, instead of getting on a plane, you will be getting on a boat and going on a tour of the beautiful beaches. Here's that. So pretty. Look at that. Hop aboard the Sea Link and away you go. This is a Whithaven full day beach tour. All of your meals are included. They pick you up, they drop you off, and you get to see the beautiful beaches all over some of the islands. That's really cool. Something else they have, number 3 on the list, is the Whitsunday Crocodile Safari. From Arley Beach, it includes lunch. You get to explore the bush and the estuaries of wild Whitsunday on a full-day crocodile safari. Go croc spotting on a river cruise. Look for other wetland wildlife on a tractor-pulled wagon tour. Get a taste of what it's like to be out in this area of the country. I don't know about that boat. It looks a little bit questionable to me. That boat looks great, but this boat, I don't know. Check out the crocodile boat. I'm not sure if we're climbing aboard this one. I would probably just to go see the crocodiles. That's what it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. That boat looks a little raggedy. But this is what they do. They take you out looking for crocs on the river. It's, again, a full-day crocodile tour. Comes with lunch. It's about $99, $100 to go for a full day of crocodiling. It's pretty fun, though. I'll go. That's the Whitsunday Crocodile Safari. I like it. I don't know. Are you going? I think I might be going for that. So, other fun things to do in addition to the full beach tour and seeing, oh, what happened? It went away. There it is. Sorry. I'm scrolling all over the place. Is the Whitsunday Crocodile Safari. And then you can go to the Whitehaven Beach Snorkeling Hill Inlet Lookout. It is one of the most breathtaking spots in Australia. They take you on a high-speed motorized raft, and then you get to choose between extra snorkeling or more beach time. It is the sand, pure silica sand, and they say it's one of the most photographed beaches in the world. Then, what about the guided jet ski tour? That could be fun. Although I have to say, I always feel like jet skiing really brings with it the pollution of such a beautiful place. And so I always feel like snowmobiling or jet skiing isn't so good for the world. But I will say that does look awfully fun. Yeah. It's the Whitsunday guided jet ski tour. You go around the Whitsunday Islands from Arley Beach for what they say is a once in a lifetime adventure. There's a guide. You get to fly by stunning coves and beaches. You could be a novice or a seasoned rider. Get your adrenaline pumping by jet skiing to a secluded Paradise Cove resort away from the masses. Then they give you a beverage, tropical lunch before they let you soak up the water. Sounds fun. I like it. Most things here really do involve the water, because the next thing on the list is a Whitsunday's sunset sailing cruise. You get to watch the dreamy sunset, and I will say, this does look really pretty. I'd be down for this. Probably more than the jet skiing, but look at how beautiful this picture is. Oh my goodness. Look at that. What a gorgeous sunset tour. It's Hamilton Island is where they take you, the place to go if you're looking for a little bit of a getaway. They say you can see two destinations often on a Whitsunday cruise, either Hamilton Island or Pioneer Bay. Both are great for families. They say the cruise starts from Arley Beach, and you enjoy the sunset of the Whitsundays with a glass of wine and some light snacks as well. And then maybe we go do something a little different on land, because you can go on a Segway tour of Whitsunday Islands, at least one of them. Now check this out. If you can get the balance right, I think it might be a fun thing to do, is go on a Segway tour. Yeah, it sounds pretty fun. I think it sounds pretty fun. They will take you all around the city and show you their most historic buildings and the most popular things to see in this area. Again, it is the Segway Rainforest cruise or tour. Lasts about 3.5 hours. They say the Segways are self-balancing, and so they're easy to ride through the Conway National Park on a 5.5-mile trip with a guide. You can take a break from the jungle pathways, have a cup of coffee and a croissant while you look over Impulse Creek on the Whitsunday Great Walk, and then take a leisurely ride to a bed and breakfast hotel. They say full instructions are given. So even if you've never ridden a Segway before, you can still really enjoy this. You can also, in addition to taking a Segway ride through the Conway National Park rainforest, you can check out the streams and all the different local wildlife and the vegetation. And then you can see the different beautiful buildings of the city as well. Super fun. I love it. So there you go. That's at least some of the best things to do on the Whitsunday Island. Seeing that heart-shaped tropical reef, I'm down with that. Let's see. Has anybody been there before? Let's see what you guys are saying. Sunset cruises in Hawaii are the best. the bottom of that boat was sprayed with Flex Seal. It would be fun, but I can't trust my balance anymore. They say they're self-balancing, so I don't know. Not getting on the boat. Land is much better. I was looking at Whitehaven Beach on Google Earth. Really beautiful. Yeah, great trip. I'm glad. Thanks, Kim. I didn't need to pack much for our travels today. Thank you to everyone who contributes to the show. You saw Kathy O today contributed a couple of stories yesterday, stories from teacher Lori, Walter, Jim S. So thank you so much. Kim at theafterparty.live. That is where you can reach me. Here it is, Kim at theafterparty.live. Feel free to send me a message and a little chit chat or an idea or whatever it may be. Tomorrow is Waterfall Wednesday, so always love your ideas for that. And thank you to everyone who contributes to this show financially as well. It is a crowd-funded show. You'll find the PayPal information underneath the show description. It is an everyday show description. And just thank you so much to everyone who helps keep this show going. Overnight, PayPal contributions did come in from... So waiting for it to pop up here. Yay! Nancy V contributing to the show. James S, Suanne S, Wes from yesterday, and Joyce M as well. Huge thank you to everyone who contributes to the After Party Live. All right, make it a great rest of your Tuesday. Hope you're relaxed and ready to go forward and make it the very best day you can. I will see you tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, where John Rothman returns from his travels. For now, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Oh no, Rev. If that's true, I certainly missed it.